Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man!
G'day viewers, Retro Man here and welcome to the 80s Show. Now throughout the 1980s, Charles Bronson did numerous films for B-movie production house Cannon Films. Now in my opinion, one of the better films was Murphy's Law. This is a 1986 cop film that partnered Charles Bronson with a potty-mouthed female. Now today we're going to be taking a look at what went into the casting process for the Cannon film Murphy's Law. Now guys, I'll start by saying that Charles Bronson had a career that spanned 50 years, and for about 25 years he often co-starred with his lovely wife Jill Ireland. But with this film guys, they actually needed a much younger woman. So Jill Ireland this time was a producer on this film and took a back seat from her usual co-starring role with her husband. And guys, they needed to get a female that was, say, in her 20s, maybe in her early 30s at the most, someone that had a lot of spark and a lot of flamboyant attitude. They really wanted to take the spark and the chemistry in this film to the next level. Now Bronson in this point of his career was 65 years of age, and the girl that they ultimately cast was Kathleen Wilhoit, who was about 21 at the time. Now guys, I think Kathleen does a serviceable job in this film. I mean, she's adequate in all areas, and guys, it could have though gone a very different way. And basically, Cannon were looking at two females on the scene that had glamorous images. I mean, they were quite striking, and everyone knew them. And one of them was actually Apollonia. Now, she was Prince's co-star in that blockbuster Purple Rain, and she was really trying to get into films at this point. And from what I've heard, Apollonia came really close to clenching this part, and it really was between Apollonia and Kathleen Wilhoit for the final role. And I think Jill Ireland was kind of impressed by Kathleen's acting talents and kind of went in that direction. But guys, Apollonia had just been in this big Prince film, and Apollonia actually ended up in Purple Rain as a result of the exit of this other famous female I'm going to talk about, which was Vanity. Now Vanity actually had to step away from Purple Rain due to a falling out with Prince. But guys, she'd gotten into a few very entertaining films. She'd just come off that minor cult hit, The Last Dragon with Timok, and she was looking for another role. She got involved in that small little spy film with John Stamos called Never Too Young to Die, and she was really out there looking for more film roles, and she tried out for Murphy's Law, but in the end they decided not to give it to her, and she wound up playing a supporting role in another Cannon film called 52 Pickup, which starred Roy Schneider and Anne Margaret. But guys, Vanity really would have been a very interesting choice for this film. Vanity, of course, went on to star opposite Carl Weathers in Action Jackson not long after, and Vanity at the time had a little bit of a reputation for being a bit of a wildcat. I mean, she had some drug and alcohol problems, and I think Jill Ireland kind of looked at Apollonia and Vanity as possible problems. I mean, they were very glamorous women. They came with reputations. I mean, who really knows, guys, what went down there? I mean, Jill could have possibly been harbouring some personal reservations as to what could go down between her husband and Apollonia and Vanity. I mean, these girls were real wildcats at the time, and they certainly had a bit of a reputation. So she might have wanted to really make the role a little bit easier for her husband putting Kathleen in there. I mean, she was kind of really trying to forge a career as a budding professional actress, whereas these other girls were a little bit more splashy and more into the music side of things and more into certainly developing a reputation of sorts. So guys, that's how it goes sometimes in the casting department. You have to go one way or the other, and sometimes personal preference comes into play. And Jill could have been, who knows, maybe even intimidated by these feisty females. So they were definitely in your face, those girls. And I think Jill decided to make that safe choice and go with Kathleen, who was kind of looked at the time as a more professional actress. So Vanity might have added the glamour and the sparkle and that extra little star power punch, but they played it safe and went with Kathleen. But guys, as I said, Kathleen was very good in the film, and this being something a little different for Bronson, this being a buddy film, I think Cannon could have been a little bit more ostentatious and gone out on a limb and got another female out there that had a name, so the film could have been billed as a double team, Bronson and Vanity, as opposed to just Bronson. I mean, Kathleen Wilhoit received under the title billing, even though she is Bronson's co-star. But guys, we never got that. In my opinion, Vanity would have been perfect, but it seems that if it wasn't Kathleen Wilhoit, it may have been Apollonia from the reports I've heard. But that's another story, guys. We can always speculate on these casting decisions, and this was certainly an interesting one. I mean, at the end of the day, Murphy's Law made about 9 to 10 million US domestically, but I think with a Vanity thrown in there, with equal billing to Bronson on the marquee, this could have lifted the film to say 20 or 25 million. It certainly would have lifted the profile of the film in the long run. So guys, a little bit of a missed casting opportunity there, but Kathleen Wilhoit is very good in this, and I think Bronson and her share a very interesting chemistry. I mean, Bronson is, playing it tough and at times subdued, and in this film you needed a female that was really willing to go there and spew out those one-liners just as much as Bronson is firing those hand cannons. And guys, it all comes together to make Murphy's Law, I think, a little bit of a cut above most Cannon films. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed my little casting discussion on a Charles Bronson Cannon film that I think is rather underappreciated. And guys, a lot goes into the making of these films, from the production design to the script to the costuming to the final casting decisions. And guys, this one was a very interesting one, and Murphy's Law is a cut above some, and I think when you look at Bronson's 80s catalogue, this one is looked upon quite affectionately. Anyway guys, it was great again talking about Charles Bronson. I mean, he really left behind a fascinating body of work. Tell me guys in the comments below, have you seen Murphy's Law? What do you think of the film? Do you think Kathleen Wilhoit was a great Arabella McGee? Tell me what you think about Kathleen's casting, and tell me if you think it could have been an even better proposition if it went a different way, say in the direction of Vanity or Apollonia. Guys, tell me in the comments below, and you will see me again very soon. But until then, this is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and just as cool as Charles Bronson. Please subscribe and good night, viewers.